Hi guys, this is Nadya and Andreeva from spinachandyoga.com, and today is another interview in the series of Happy Belly interviews with various experts that I love. And we cover topics digestion related, food related, emotions, and healing stories. And today we have an amazing guest, a woman whose newsletter I love, whose website I love, and I feel so honored that she agreed to be on the interview today. And Katie Den Ouden is a food and soul expert, teaching smart, driven, and insightful women to feed their bodies and their lives so they can live in a body they love, create the life that they were meant to live, and have contagious joy. She intuitively identifies what's working and what's keeping women stuck and weighted down, ultimately unleashing empowered, confident, happy women who are in love with life. She's a graduate from the Institute of Integrative Nutrition and is a holistic health coach accredited by the American Association of Drugless Practitioners. She also holds an MA in educational psychology from the University of Colorado and BA in psychology from Hope College. So, Katie, it seems like your background is so perfect for working with women because you have a background in nutrition, you have a background in psychology, and that's the perfect combination for not only telling people what to do and how to do, but actually empowering to take responsibility.
Yes. Oh my gosh, I love it. And when I first started, I emphasized a lot more of the nutrition piece because that's kind of what was the impetus to get me started. But a lot of these women were implementing things, but they do it for 3 weeks and then they'd kind of trickle off and they wouldn't keep going with it.
Yeah.
So I really started to infuse the psychology and the mindset and how we really think about things. And as soon as I did that, women were coming back and being like, oh my gosh, my life has changed, my body's changed, my relationship's better, my career, I've changed careers. It was phenomenal being able to really integrate those two pieces for women and how we really think and operate and do things.
Yeah. Yeah, and I feel like we have psychology in common, and it is such an integral piece in coaching. So today, while we discuss things that are happy belly related, I want to really pinpoint and talk about the psychology of changing habits, of finding that motivation or inspiration to keep going when you don't want to.
Yes.
But before we get into all that serious stuff, what does a happy belly mean for you?
Oh my gosh, I love this question. Happy belly for me is two parts. The first part, I go with the tangible of my actual stomach, digestion, everything going on. So for me, I had a ton of digestion problems before. So whether that's, you have the puffiness, you have the bloatiness, you have constipation, all these things that go with it. So for my happy belly now, it runs fabulously. It gives me the nutrients that I need. It gives me energy. It helps my skin. Like that happy belly, and when I eat food, I should say, it's like happy.
Yeah.
There's no upset in it. But the other happy belly too is my gut and intuition piece. When people are like, I make decisions based on my gut, or my gut told me this. If I am choosing things not in alignment with me or what I should be doing, I get that uneasiness in my belly that tells me it's not the right way. It makes it unhappy. So for both of those, a happy belly has to be the physical piece, but also I think living in alignment with me to make it really happy.
Yeah, I think what's interesting is that we tend sometimes in our mind to separate the two, the feeling with the gut versus the physical digestion. But in reality, they're so connected because 95% of the endorphins are produced in the gut. And all the emotions, they're so much connected to what's happening in the gut because as soon as something is not digested properly or not eliminated properly, if toxins are produced, it goes back into the blood, and the first thing that blood washes is your brain and your nerves. So those two are so connected.
Yes.
And so I think we kind of covered in terms of why it's important to have a happy belly for you. But what have you noticed when you started improving your digestion? So when you're nutrition changed when you started paying attention more to your gut? What changed?
A lot. My belly slash digestion was really where it all started for me to the journey where I am now. And when I started shifting what I was eating, my behaviors, even my sleep, I noticed, I mean, I was waking up without an alarm. I had so much more energy. And funny enough, I was talking with my brother on the phone, and he's like, "What are you, high?" And he's because I was so happy, I had so much energy. He's like, "What is going on?" And at that time, I was actually drinking kefir. So I was like, "No, I'm just like doing all these things, and my digestion's great." But he was like, "Oh my gosh, what is going on with you?" So my mood, my outlook, my productivity, my energy when I woke up. But honestly, I'd say the biggest thing is probably just my happiness and outlook on life.
That's amazing. Really cool. So what do you do day to day to keep your belly happy now that you know strategies that definitely work and some things that might not be as effective? What do you choose to keep in your day-to-day life?
Yeah, and for me, I call them non-negotiables. I know if I have these, that it'll stay happy. Sleep is a huge one for me. My body responds, it's super sensitive. If I don't get the right amount of sleep or quality sleep, my digestion will be off for a day or two.
I love that you make this connection. Most people don't connect the two.
Yeah. I mean, really, like that was probably one of the biggest ones. I was like, wow, okay, such a small thing. Sleep, water is huge. I know people say drink water, but for me, if I don't drink it, my digestion will slow. And as soon as that slows, I get tired, I get grumpy, I can't focus on anything. Like it's almost within 12 to 24 hours, it changes that fast for me.
That's really cool. What is your water? I think is amazing. Do you have like a favorite, more hydrating drink? Something that, for example, you know that you didn't hydrate enough, and water just won't cut it at this point.
Yeah.
Do you have something else that you like to use as hydration?
I actually do coconut water. I do raw coconut water.
Yeah, I love coconut water.
And I had tried other stuff before, but coconut water, I was kind of nervous because there's sugar in it, but because it's a different kind of sugar or sugar I do better with in my body, it hydrates me really well. It doesn't give me the sugar shakes, like if I were to eat candy or something like that. But coconut water, hands down, is the quickest way that I will feel better. Is it the same for you?
Well, I would say that during the summer, coconut, or after a workout, coconut with a little bit of lime juice and a sprinkle of cardamom is one of my favorite things. In the winter, though, I really like to make cumin, coriander, fennel tea and add a little bit of salt, like just a tiny little bit of salt, some lime juice, and whether it's a little bit of sugar or a little bit of honey. So the saltiness and the sweetness has to be very, very slight, but that helps for your body to kind of hold on to it. Because I think what happens is a lot of people get really dehydrated and then they just gulp the whole bottle down. And what happens, they pee it out in 15 minutes. So if you add a little bit of sugar, whether it's coconut water or you add like literally 1/4 of a teaspoon, it stays a lot more.
Actually, I've dealt with adrenal fatigue and exhaustion before, so I actually have a glass of water with about a half a teaspoon of quality sea salt in the morning, and that makes a huge difference too.
Yeah.
So I'm glad you said that.
Yeah, I think salt is the same as sugar. People get so scared of it, and they completely say like, "No, I'm not going to have any." But in reality, you need a little bit. It's just a matter of not going overboard.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah. So if we were to get a little bit more specific into foods, what are some foods that make your belly happy?
For me, I will be honest, my journey has kind of been a test. And when I first started, I did raw foods and I felt amazing. But after 3 or 4 months of it, I started to notice I was kind of starting to crave other foods I wasn't before. My energy wasn't as great. So I really took in an exploration of curiosity and how my body works. And for where I'm at now, I do really good with not as many grains. I actually do really good with animal protein. Not 80 or 90% of my diet is animal protein,
Yeah.
but a little bit. And I actually do really well with slippery elm powder, which could be a supplement or a food.
Yeah.
But that, chia seeds and flax seeds, I actually do really well with.
Cool. I have a feeling you would love okra if you like slippery elm.
Oh my gosh, I just had okra in a soup this morning.
See, I can read your stomach.
You totally are. Yes, I had that this morning, and the mucilagenic properties of it, I do very well with.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
And I think for a lot of people at the beginning of a journey, animal protein can be quite easy to digest, especially if it's cooked well, whether it's fish or if you even cook, for example, and I know most people are going to freak out, but I made yesterday soup with chicken hearts and vegetables.
I love it.
And I told one of my clients, and she's like, I can't eat hearts. It's like, it's compassionate to the animal. You're using all parts of an animal, not just the muscle meat, and that's a lot more nutrient dense. But in terms of how it affects on the digestion, I agree with you that for a lot of people it will be easier than eating grains.
Yeah, and when I was first struggling with it, I actually went to all these different doctors, and they're like, eat more fiber. That was the one thing everyone told me to do. They're like, eat more fiber, eat more of those fibrous cereals that had like 20 grams of that really rough grain fiber in it, and it destroyed me. Like, it made me feel terrible. It made my digestion worse. So all of those of what they were telling me to eat was terrible.
Yeah, and I think especially in cereals, and if we eat out for grains, grains are so rarely cooked well. And when they're not cooked correctly, they will be very irritating to the gut. Yeah. And it takes lots of patience to cook grains correctly. You have to soak them. It's like, I think for grains, a slow cooker is the best way. But if you're on the run, a piece of fish usually will do better.
Yeah. And just what you said, if I soak it and sprout it with grains, it's night and day difference in how I digest it and my happiness level too.
Yeah, because the grain becomes a lot more alive. It's easier to absorb, easier to digest. So I think I'm totally with you. Yeah. What gets your stomach unhappy?
My stomach unhappy. Oh gosh. Stimulants. If I have a lot of stimulants, whether that is caffeine or chocolate or even depressants of even alcohol, those usually are 3 big triggers. Any kind of those fiber cereals, within literally 10 to 15 minutes, I feel bloated. I feel the gurgling. I'm like, oh, this is not a good day.
Yeah.
I would say those are the huge ones.
Okay.
And I think over time, I've actually helped to rebuild my gut too, so I can tolerate foods better. But the grains and really processed foods, artificial sugars, and any kind of soy or processed product, 15 minutes and my belly will tell me what's up.
And that's really cool. It seems like you're taking this experimental approach of I'm going to take the food and then I'll be honest with myself how it makes me feel.
Yeah. I've developed a lot of awareness around it, which is great because there's a lot of diets and approaches that may work really well for someone, but I keep adding it in and it makes me feel terrible. Like, that's not going to work for me.
Yeah, and I think respecting what works for you personally, not the article, is such a huge step.
Yeah. Can I add one more thing?
Yeah.
It goes with that second part of the gut thing. If I feel anxious about work or relationships, or I have some kind of fear or worry coming up, I will feel it in my gut. It will make it feel unhappy. It'll make it feel tense. Sometimes it'll make the digestion change drastically. But even the mind connection of how I'm feeling about something will change how my gut will process food, how it will metabolize it, everything with it too, and make it either happy or unhappy.
Yeah, and it's so cool that you're aware of it, because in Ayurveda, one of the guidelines that in the beginning when I was studying, it's like so weird. It's basically you're not allowed to eat when you're upset or angry or jealous, because you would, Dr. Lad, who's one of my teachers, he would say that you're eating anger, you're not eating the food.
Yeah. Yep.
So I think people underestimate how much stress and being in a rush or being anxious can affect their digestion.
Yeah, and I didn't realize how big I was years ago. And yeah, I 100% agree with you on that.
So since we're on this very interesting topic, let's explore it a little bit deeper. So let's say you have a big project. You're a little bit anxious. Maybe it's going really well. So it's like excitement and anxiety mixed together. And you know that your digestion is affected by that. What would you eat on those at that particular time? Or would you even eat?
For me, I will eat really simple foods. So even just a baked sweet potato with coconut oil.
I like that.
It actually, if it's all those complicated foods that are so many ingredients, or my body's trying to break down so many different things, I feel like it almost makes me more anxious. But if I keep with really simple, I get something that has both the soluble and insoluble fiber, and then I get fat with it, I do really well. I'd say probably sweet potatoes are my go-to when it comes to that. And animal protein, it makes me feel a little bit calmer. But I really try and stay away from sugar, as that will make the anxiety go even higher, the up and down roller coaster.
Yeah, and I think you mentioned key things, which Ayurvedically speaking, anxiety or excitement, it's both vata, which is air, and you kind of want to fly off and your mind is all over the place. And you're describing foods that are grounding.
Yeah.
So root vegetable, which would be yam or sweet potato, would be amazing, and healthy fats. So guys, if you feel like you're super anxious, take advice from Katie.
Sweet potato.
Yes, sweet potato. What would you say to someone who is just beginning their journey and they feel overwhelmed with all the contradictory theories? They might be feeling really upset at their body for not reacting to foods they expected to digest well. What's the advice?
I think, and you hit on it before, is taking more of the curiosity experiment approach, which I know can be really frustrating when you're at the point where like, I just want this fixed now, I want this done. But I think taking the curiosity approach and really starting to tune into the body, I think finding a coach and someone who's been through it and has the mindset of working specifically with your body, and not just it has to be so black and white and these are the foods you have to eat and these are the ones you don't. And being patient, which is the last thing you want to do. But for the gut, I mean, like for me, I had been destroying my gut for like 23 years. So it takes time to kind of reverse it and bring it back to where you want it to be. I would say probably those are the biggest three.
Yeah, and I think patience is so huge, because we do want quick fixes, and it takes a lot of patience and internal self-talk to kind of say, okay, let's go.
Come on. What's going on?
2 weeks is not necessarily the end of the road.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
So taking time and experimenting. I love those points. So if people want to find out a little bit more about your coaching, where can they find you?
Mine is katiedenowden.com. Do you want me to spell it, or will there be a little thing for it?
We'll put the link.
Okay. That's much easier. It's a hard name. But no, katiedenowden.com. And then right now, we also have a program, a free challenge starting February 1st that will run through February. And it's called Skinny Dip Society. which is skinnydipsociety.com. But when I was talking before of, I have the food piece of the gut, and then I also have the gut and the intuition and how I make decisions and living in alignment with me. The skinny dip part is all about that mindset piece and really living life fully. I found with my digestion health issues, it kind of made me not engage in life as much. And I think that hindered my gut healing just as much as not having the right foods did. So the Skinny Dip Society is all about jumping in, uncovering who you are, what you want, treating your body amazingly, and combining it with the food pieces to really live and love life is what I call it.
That's really cool. I love that. Well, thank you, Katie, for being with us. Guys, make sure to download your free chapter from Happy Belly Guide. The links is going to be right below the video. And make sure to watch all other Happy Belly interviews. Thank you, Katie.
Thank you.